Guys, I think this is part 6 of a long series. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna create our action creator called get COVID data, and we're gonna pass that to the value, and then after that we're gonna have access to it inside this file. So I'm gonna create a function called const get COVID data. It's gonna be an async await. It's asynchronous, so we're gonna wait for it to finish before the compiler moves on to the next thing. This function is gonna return a promise. Definitely gonna return a promise. Okay. We're going to try and catch. So whatever the error is for now, let's just console.log it. Alright, so the next thing here is we need to run the first let's create the options. Let's create let's go to the API here and let's create something called options.ts.typescript. Now inside the options array, there's a few things that we can do. We can so let's create let me think about it. Alright, so export const options, and then let's go to the API. Let's look at the API. So let me open up Postman. So it's a get call. So we need the method. The method is get. The URL is right here, but we want it only up to the code because the rest of parameters that we're gonna pass in only up to the code part. That's the URL. I'm gonna paste the URL inside the video description. The params has date. What date did we use here? We used let's go to the parameters. Let's bring this down. This is the date we used. It has code US, headers. The headers there. Let's go to our headers here. So once you register with the API, you'll be able to get your own information as well. What is the value for the rapid key? Let's copy it. Again, this is not, I really don't care if you use the same one. It's a free API. Once it limits out, it's not useful anymore. Next one is the host. And let's go to the host. There we go. All right, so this is good. Now we need to give information. What type is a method? What type is a URL? What type is the params, the date, those kind of things. We actually need to explain it. So what we can say is we can go to the interface and we can create an option props. We can say export interface option props. So in the option props, the method, what type is the method? Let's go back. The options that we're creating, it's a string. We can put a string there, but axios, by the way. So let's import axios here from axios. So axios already has a method for all of them. So from axios, you can actually import something called method. So this method from axios, that's what the type is. Okay, next the URL. is a string, we know that. The params, the day of the params is a string. Let's see, yeah, the date is a string. The code is a string. What's next? So we have the headers. So let's go to this header is a string. This header is a string. Okay, that's as good. We have option props. So we can bring the option props in here. So import from interface. So we want option props. So that's what type this is. There we go. This is good. What is it saying? Headers. It's a string. Headers, string, rapid host. Am I missing something here? String, 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 string. Headers, params is a day, code. Let me see. Oh, because we had it inside params. That's why. There we go. Much better. See, that's the whole point of TypeScript. It lets you know when you make a bug like that. So that's good. So we have the options now. So we need to export our options here in our data store. So we can say import from API options, and we can create a whole bunch of them. You know what? Let's call, yeah, that's fine. So now we're gonna say, oh, let's bring in axios. Import axios from axios. So now we're gonna say const res equals axios dot request, and then we're gonna pass in the options. Now what you see now is that we're passing our options to use. Oh, it's an async away. Alright, so now the next thing we want to do is we want to dispatch the results. So but when it's so in general, we need to tell axios whatever results are coming that we're gonna get, and we already know the type. It's a COVID data. So we need to bring in COVID data. COVID. So let's go to interface. We will see we created the type COVID data. So this data is what's coming out. This is not a data. I mean, this interface here that explains the data. It's what is coming out. So COVID array is coming out. There we go. Now we can dispatch. So dispatch needs a type, and the type is action type. Remember, we created the type from enums. Action props. So type is action props. Is it action props or action types? Oh, it's action types. So what is action props? Let me see. Oh, action props is for the payload, so we do need that as well, but not for here. Action types. Next is the payload, and the payload here is, oh, the action types is dot get COVID data. Payload is rest dot data. There we go. So now we have our get COVID data. So we're gonna pass get COVID data to our value. Now there's going to be a red line because we haven't given explanation of what get COVID data is to our create context in our context prop. So we're going to go to our interface, look for our context prop, and then we need to give information to what that is. So let's go to context props right here. So let's get the function. What's the function's name? The function is get COVID data. And then we would define it. It's a function that returns a promise with nothing. There we go. Save that, go to data store, and then we don't see the red line anymore. Alright, so that's it. That is our data. So let's save it. Let's see what we get. We haven't used it yet. I'm gonna show you how to use it. Oh, I killed the server. Let's see if we can start back the server. So what we're gonna do in the next video, you guys should join me for that, is I'm gonna show you how to actually get data from here and use the data from here in our COVID app over here. So we would find a way to use the data that we just created. So I really wanted to show you to see if this is working, but it's taking too long because I'm recording. So in the next video, I will show you the results of this. Thank you guys.